Good afternoon, everyone. It's about 12:03 in the afternoon. Glad you guys could join in today for our meeting. This is April 16th, 2024, and we are at the Baltimore County Courthouse for Baltimore County Police Accountability Board meeting. I am Chair Linda Shields, and I will start the meeting with our roll call. Please acknowledge your presence. District 1. District 2, yours truly present. District 3. Bishop? We saw him on, so
he's here.
We'll
yeah, Bishop
on.
Dennis, can you hear us?
We'll go on. Hopefully he will
I'll message him.
I think he has himself muted.
Our audio. Okay. District 4. District 5.
Renee Strive present.
Hi, Renee. And District 6.
Good afternoon, Scott Richmond present.
Hi, Scott.
Can you hear me?
District 7.
Yes, we can hear you, Bishop. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
That's okay. Thank you.
For present.
Thank you. And our at-large members, Kara is not with us today, and Nigeria won't be with us today either. We do have a quorum, though, so we're going to proceed. Thank you, everyone.
I do have some new business after the minutes, so
Sure.
I got it.
We're going to move to the second item on our agenda and ask if you've had opportunity to review your minutes from the March 18 meeting, asking now if there is a motion to approve the meetings as they have been amended.
And Madam Chair, just very briefly, I want to make sure everybody got my email where I passed along the concerns of a member of the public about the content of her comments at the meeting as well.
Thank you so much. So if everyone has had opportunity to review those meeting minutes, I would entertain a motion for these minutes for March 18th meeting to be adopted as amended.
Motion that those minutes be adopted with the necessary corrections. If I can get a second.
Has been motion has been placed on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded that the meetings for the March 18, 2024 meeting minutes be amended, and they will be hereby adopted. To be approved, I'm sorry, as issued. And they are hereby adopted as done. Thank you so much. Before we go on to our new business, Henry would like to make some comments at this time.
Sure. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Madam Chair. Just very briefly, it's not on the agenda, but because the Maryland General Assembly's legislative session did end last week, I wanted to give a very brief update on two pieces of legislation that we discussed at the March meeting that were particularly of relevance. I'm actually going to go through the ones that, as well as the ones that, that I addressed back then as well. Sorry, let's pull it up here really fast. So the two bills that made it closest to the finish line, I'll put it that way, were SB 606, or rather SB 607 and SB 608. SB 608 would have told the statute of limitations, the year and a day statute, for cases where an officer is under criminal investigation. So under the current law, a law enforcement officer who is under criminal investigation, the Administrative Charging Committee has a year and a day to review and to make a decision on the administrative charge. There was some concern from lawmakers that including Baltimore County, and we flagged this in our annual report this year, the PAB, that is not a realistic timeline for a case where there's a criminal element, and that the statute of limitations, that year and a day, should be told in cases where there is a criminal investigation. That legislation, the House version and the Senate version, both passed. However, they did not pass the equivalence. The House didn't pass the Senate bill, and the Senate didn't pass the House bill. So that legislation, unfortunately, did not pass. It is something that Hopefully it'll be brought up next year. And again, the PAB, this body identified it as a concern this year, so it may be worth considering including that yet again. Let me see here, SB 607, which would have allowed for summary punishment of officers for minor charges or minor cases that did not involve members of the public. That legislation did not make it through both chambers. There was some concern that it didn't actually change the statutory language at all, really, because it didn't apply to cases involving members of the public, and departments are free to work with officers in cases that don't involve members of the public to functionally do what the bill stated. So it really wasn't seen as a change to the bill. So we'll see whether or not that comes back next year in some other form. And then the other legislation, the House version is HB 533, Senate Bill 621, to allow the police accountability boards, or rather, I want to be clear about this, that would authorize local jurisdictions like Baltimore County to allow for PABs to investigate cases. That legislation did not receive a vote in either the House or the Senate committees, and therefore did not proceed to the floor and did not pass. So there are essentially no changes to the Maryland Police Accountability Act as passed back in 2021, although since there were a flurry of bills that were introduced to change it, it will be something that we can keep an eye on, and again, something where this board in its annual report, as it will have much more information to work off of at the end of this year, certainly can make those recommendations. And I can tell you that based on my conversations with our government affairs team, that does make a difference for the folks in Annapolis. I think the legislation on the year and a day tolling statute, or tolling the deadline, was a factor in why it got, inches away from being approved, is because that a number of PABs, including ours, flagged that as a concern. So we'll continue to monitor that, and I will let everybody know as we come around next year to the session and see what bills, if any, are introduced to change the underlying law that we're operating under. So that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And those are such very important issues that we must keep our eye on, and hopefully they will not only get back to legislature, but that they will pass. And
we can introduce Ernie if you want to. So we have a guest here today. It's just not a part of our agenda, but we wanted to let Ernie introduce himself to members of the PAB since you're a part of the process.
Thank you. So hello everyone, I'm Ernie Reitz. I'm from the County Office of Law, and I am the legal advisor assigned to the police department. I'm also the Assistant County Attorney, primarily responsible for prosecuting the trial board hearings.
Thank you, Ernie, and appreciate you being here. And so that's for the cases involving Baltimore County Police Department.
Correct.
And this is actually our first trial board today, is to appoint a member to that trial board. We've had several that do not involve the BCPD, but we have our first local one today. So thanks for being here, Ernie.
thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you. So at this time, according to and following our agenda, we are moving to the new business of appointing the new trial board member. And before you have the information that was shared on Hollis Albert, and entertaining questions, if there are any, or comments are related to Mr. Albert's application.
Am I correct that we had adjudicated this person before?
Yes.
Yeah, so just to give a little bit of context on that, thank you, Bishop. Mr. Albert was appointed to serve on a trial board. However, that trial board was canceled prior to the hearing by the prosecuting agency in that case. So he has not had the opportunity to serve on one, and so that, I think, takes care of, there'll be one other individual who hasn't served on a trial board who we have on well, there's actually two, but Mr. Albert's available to attend this one on May 7th and May 8th. And again, he hasn't served already, so we're trying to work through those who haven't had the opportunity to serve yet before we go back to folks who have already served on one, so that everyone who's gone through the training gets the opportunity to apply what they've learned.
And just so we can remind everyone, during our process of interviewing those who were interested in serving, Mr. Hollis did come highly recommended unanimously from the committee.
I move that we elect
So at
Mr.
this,
Hollis B. Albert to the trial board, up from the trial board.
thank you. This motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
It's properly moved and seconded that we would appoint Mr. Hollis Albert to the board, serve as a trial board member. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Be it so moved that the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board hereby appoints J. Hollis Albert to serve as the civilian member of the May 7th through May 8th trial board for the Baltimore County Police Department. At this time, we're open for our public comment if there's any.
All right, Ms. Hughley. You want to unmute her? Kelly?
Okay, hold on, I'm sorry about that.
All right, she muted?
Yes.
All right.
I'm sorry, can you
Good
hear me?
afternoon.
Yes, we can hear you.
Henry, before my time starts, can you clarify the complaint that I had about my public comment being edited? So did you guys move to amend the minutes or did you move to keep the same?
They were kept the same, ma'am.
Okay, so well, it's ironic that we have someone from the Office of Law there today because I think as I've been discussing my issues with the police department and telling my story, I think that that's one of the hurdles that people have to go through when they experience discrimination or assault by a police officer. So for me to tell my story that, you know, Officer Mazuka had me arrested on a noise complaint and my breast and vagina was exposed and I was held down and the supervisor had to pull him off of me and you guys chose to not include that in the comment. That's disheartening, you know. Like I stated to Mr. Henry, I already sent in my Maryland tort claim. I will be pursuing legal action against the department. This is something that everybody at the department knows from internal affairs, up until the chief. And I'm sure Johnny O knows it too. This cannot happen. If you look up Anjanette Young in Chicago, the same thing happened to her. She was arrested on a warrant and several officers sat there and stared at her breasts and naked body and she won $2.9 million. I want you to all think about if that happened to your loved ones. The Maryland Tort Claim Act allows citizens to sue the police individually for up to $400,000 for any malicious acts and arrests that they experience. My time at the department under Captain Latchar's command included him trying to assault me and me having to be transferred from his command for safety. This has been a long time coming and I'm proud of myself for speaking up. I understand you may not want the citizens of Baltimore County to hear my story, and I understand that this may be frowned upon by Johnny O himself since he's running for Congress. But what happened to me was despicable, and it cannot happen. And I will be seeking justice through legal action and going to the news if I have to. I have the body-worn camera footage of the officer standing in my house staring at my breast. And as I stated, all charges against me were dismissed. So you will see my name again. You will hear my name again. My name is Bianca Hughley, and I will stand up for all women who have been assaulted by the Baltimore County police officers. And just as a disclaimer, if I do die, it wasn't a suicide. So have a great day.
Ms. Hughley, thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? If not, the next agenda item states the date and time, location of our next meeting, which will be June 24th, 2024 at 12 p.m. noon in room 118 of the Towson Historic Courthouse, unless a change has to be made, at which time you will be notified. At this time, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Is there such a motion?
I'll make such a motion, but I just wanted to say hi to Ernie Reitz, who was a former coworker of mine.
This guy?
Mine too.
Yeah. Linda's much longer ago than
Long,
you and
long
I.
time ago.
But I make that motion.
Okay, that was a motion to adjourn
Yes.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. So, all in favor? Getting ahead of myself.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Be it so moved that the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board hereby adjourns until June 18, 2024. That's June 24, 2024 at 12 noon, at which time we shall resume and have our meeting in room 118 and also via WebEx. Thank you all so much for coming. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you in June, God willing. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.